Use that caffeine to become an enhanced, more dopaminergic, more motivated, higher energy, better version of yourself. For that moment, I'm in control of the caffeine. It's no longer controlling me. I'm not using it as a crutch. More energy, more alert. Your gains are better. Nothing but a benevolent substance, an unlimited source of amazing energy that is so good for us, and we should have it every single day. I use 1,000 milligrams of caffeine daily. Everyone's body and brain responds differently. This is one of my #1 tips for dopamine and going to the gym and actually getting enjoyment out of the gym.
What's up, boys? As you can see, a little bit of changes around here since the last video. We're absolutely locked in. Diet locked. SR locked. 21-day streak. Fasting today. 36-hour fast. No food. Besides, I had a coffee this morning, which we'll get to later. No drugs. No alcohol. No weed. Hence the topic of this video. Caffeine. How to use it as a tool and not as a crutch. Let's get into it. So, for a lot of you guys, it may be kind of difficult clicking on this video because maybe you're worried that I might say bad things about your one true love that gets you through the day, and that is caffeine, okay? In America, we have this conception that caffeine is nothing but a benevolent substance, an unlimited source of amazing energy that is so good for us, and we should have it every single day because it just makes us so much more productive than we would be without it. Not true. Caffeine is a dopaminergic drug that you can get addicted and dependent to just like any other dopaminergic drug. Now, before you close out the video, wait. I'm not going to tell you that you can never have caffeine again. I just had some caffeine this morning. Okay? What I'm going to do in this video is teach you exactly why we cannot use caffeine like a crutch, what using like a crutch is like, how to actually use it as a tool that actually increases our quality of life so that when you're taking your caffeine, you can know that you're doing this because it's good for you and it's better for you. You can enjoy the enjoyment you get from caffeine and understand why you're using it in the ways that we need to actually benefit and boost our life rather than take it down. So let's get into it. First off, what does caffeine actually do to our brains? It primarily does 3 different things that we're going to get into right here. Number 1, it blocks adenosine. What is adenosine? Adenosine is what makes you feel sleepy. Okay? Caffeine blocks the adenosine from binding to the receptors that it needs you to make you feel this. So it literally blocks that feeling of sleepiness. If you guys taking caffeine and you feel sleepy, you know that once you take it and it hits your system, you all of a sudden feel less sleepy, you feel more awake and more alert. Pretty obvious one there. Second thing that caffeine does is that it increases yep, you guessed it, dopamine. This is why when you take caffeine, it actually is enjoyable. I don't know about you guys, but when I have a coffee or an energy drink, I'm actually excited. It feels actually good I feel better than I would feel beforehand after taking the caffeine because it is temporarily boosting up my dopamine, which is what makes us feel good, makes us feel motivated, makes us feel driven, makes us feel excited for what we're doing. Caffeine increases your dopamine when you take it. This, like I said, is why we enjoy it, why we kind of crave the caffeine, especially if you do caffeine often, you crave it. It's because of the dopamine. We don't necessarily crave the feeling of our adenosine being blocked, but what we do crave is the feeling of our dopamine being spiked. So now we are less sleepy and we have higher baseline dopamine, motivation, drive, excitement, enjoyment of what we're doing, etc. Lastly, caffeine increases adrenaline. Caffeine increases adrenaline, which gives you that kind of feeling. It's not just dopamine. It also makes you kind of more wired, more almost like a state of fight or flight. Like you're very activated. You're turned on mentally. You a little more aggressive with what you're doing than you would be at baseline. You're not as calm, not as peaceful. Your body kind of wants to move. It's a little bit more jittery depending on how much caffeine you take and how addicted you are to it, it's going to have this effect. So these three things, the blocking of adenosine, the increasing of dopamine, and the increasing of adrenaline temporarily when we take the caffeine, makes you feel better. It makes you feel better in most situations. Anything that's going to increase our dopamine is going to make us feel better temporarily, especially, and then we have the adenosine aspect. If you're sleepy, and you're probably not going to take caffeine when you're about to fall asleep, so you're probably taking it during a time where you want to feel awake. Boom, now you feel better, that you have more alertness and less sleepiness when you're doing what you're doing. And then the adrenaline, it's probably the thing that feels the least good, but for some people do enjoy that feeling of kind of being on in fight or flight mode, makes us feel more into and activated on what we're doing. So, in this state, yes, caffeine is good. It raises us and makes us enhanced, makes us better than what we were at baseline. Now, what's the problem? Most men use caffeine daily and thus, geez, I have awful handwriting. I'm trying really hard here, guys. I had the worst handwriting in elementary school. I was known for it, every single grade. Try my best here for you guys. Most men use caffeine daily, and thus we need it to feel normal. And the reason that this is because caffeine is not an energy source. Okay? Even though you guys, when you take it, you feel like you just consumed energy that is now usable to use towards your task. Like I said, it is actually not an energy source. It does not give you energy. What caffeine is really doing is this. It is borrowing energy from later. Caffeine is not, the feeling you get when you take caffeine is not the caffeine boosting and giving you energy that wasn't there. Caffeine is a tool that allows you to take some of your energy from the future and consolidate it now into the current moment. It puts you in energy debt. I need energy, I need money now that I don't have right now. Maybe I'm sleepy. Maybe the current task that I'm doing requires more energy than my baseline, and having more energy would help me perform optimally, and it's a special task that I need the higher energy for. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my energy from later, go into energy debt, and use that energy now. That is what caffeine is doing. Okay, I want you guys to think that when you take that drug, that's what you're doing. You're taking, I'm going to have my energy from later, I'm going to take it now instead. It is not giving you energy on top of your baseline. And the reason that and because of this, consistent caffeine use lowers your baseline. It is going to lower, once you take it consistently, it is like constantly going into debt. It is going to lower your net worth over time. Caffeine is going to lower your net energy over time, and that's why men who use caffeine daily need it to feel normal. Because our baseline now is below normal. Say we're here, and when we first start using caffeine, it boosts us up. Wow, this feels amazing. All right, we use that consistently. But again, we're taking energy from later. So what goes up must come back down. Okay, we're here. We take the caffeine. Boom. Take the energy from later. But as the day goes on later, now we drop below that baseline into a negative. So when we do this every day, now what we're doing is we're constantly borrowing energy from the future. And because the future keeps coming, which is a low, our baseline is now low, and we use the caffeine to feel normal because we're constantly in energy debt. This is the key I need you guys to understand if you are taking caffeine daily. If you're currently taking caffeine daily, you're operating at your baseline that you would have if you didn't have any caffeine at all. If you're taking it daily. It's just that you need the caffeine to get to that baseline now. You use it too much, you got into too much debt, and now you need to continue going into debt to make ends meet. And to get off to get back into the green and get off debt, you're going to have to go through a period of suckiness. You're going to have to grind through. Right? Say you're in a bunch of debt, you got to go through a period where you put your head down and you grind, and it's going to suck to get out of debt. To get out of this state where you are in a lowered baseline, you need to reduce caffeine intake and go through some withdrawals, and it's going to suck. Because you're going to have to stay at that baseline for your brain to start to rewire to the point where, okay, now I'm no longer in debt, I'm slowly coming up back to my normal baseline. The goal should be to use caffeine as a tool occasionally. When within our budget, we can go into debt sometimes when we need to in certain situations. All right, say my laptop. I have a really nice MacBook. I'm a content creator. I'm a coach, and I went into a little bit of debt to get the laptop, a payment plan, because I need the laptop now. I'm still paying for that laptop, but I needed it now, and that was a good decision for me because it benefited me in that time period to have the laptop that was better than my baseline laptop, even though now I'm in debt for a laptop and still paying it off. But there's some things where the debt's not worth it. Going to a concert, probably not worth. Going on a trip to a festival, in a different state when you don't have the money, but you just want the experience, probably not worth it. Unless you're gonna die next week, right? And depending on your overall debt. Sometimes, if you're not a caffeine addict and you just want to use caffeine for fun sometime, just to enjoy, sure. Even if you're not using it productively. You go in a little bit of debt, but you'll be fine. As long as you don't continue the use. The problem is using it daily because you'll need it to feel normal because now your baseline is lower and you need the caffeine to get to baseline. When we should have just stayed at our baseline, used the caffeine spike to bring us above, and then dealt with the crash a little bit without continuing to use caffeine, go deeper into debt to make up the energy debt that we achieved by taking caffeine in the first place. Moving on to the rules for proper caffeine use. If you do not follow these rules, guys, if you use caffeine daily, what you're going to notice is that baseline lowering over time. You're going to feel a craving, feeling like you need it to feel normal. And if you don't have it, you're going to feel like shit. So, each person's different. Each person has a varying level. Like all substances, dopaminergic drugs, caffeine's a drug. Like marijuana, anything else that hits your dopamine. Everyone's body and brain responds differently. Everyone develops the addiction differently. People go through withdrawals differently. I don't really have that bad of caffeine withdrawals. I've had periods where I was doing caffeine, energy drinks every single day, multiple energy drinks a day. Withdrawals for me aren't as bad as for some other people. They literally can't function. They need to stay home from work. They get horrible headaches. It's awful. But I can tell you, if you guys follow these rules and you do what is necessary to come off it, after this I'm going to show you how to actually, the process of coming off it, or lowering your intake at least. It's one of the best things I have. I've dealt with many clients who came to me, they were starting 500, 600, 700 milligrams of caffeine every single day, all throughout the day. And one of the best things we did for changing how they felt is learning how to use caffeine properly instead of letting it use you. So, rule 1, obviously, do not use it daily, guys. That's the main thing. Do not use it daily. Do not have caffeine as a part of your automatic daily routine. As time goes on and you're using it daily, you're still going to get the kind of adrenaline aspect of it, but that's going to be the thing that stays the most. So a lot of times, as you guys know, when you take caffeine, if anything, a lot of times you feel more anxious. If you're addicted to it, you don't even feel better. Your brain just literally needs it to not feel like crap because of the dopamine lowering baseline and because your adenosine receptors are fucked. But it makes you, and you're going to be constantly more sleepy throughout the day, have less energy when you're constantly using it. But the adrenaline aspect still stays there. The jitters, the anxiety, that stays when the good things, like the dopamine increase and the adenosine blocking that we get when we're not addicted, and we use it when we're at baseline. We get that debt from later to boost us above our baseline, rather than when we're addicted and we're below trying to get back to baseline. We don't get those same positive effects. So if you're not using daily, what I recommend is two to 4 times per week max, guys. Right now I'm doing it about 3 days per week. I did it today. I got a big day today. I got 8 client calls today, or 8 calls total. One of them was our group call, which I already did, and I'm making this video, so super busy day for me. So I'm using it today. I also used it I believe on Friday, because I had an orientation call with a new client. Orientation calls are 2 hours because there's a shit ton of stuff in the method we have to go over those 2 hours. And I only got 4 hours of sleep that night because I was up late, my mind was racing. So I was feeling like groggy and kind of like crap, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take it today. So I take it about 3 times per week, which keeps me from going too far below baseline. Ideally, I want to drop that to even like 2, right? But this is going to be max per week. We don't want to do it 5-6 days per week, guys. That's where we're going to get to the point where our baseline is going to be lowering, and we're gonna need it as a crutch instead of using it as a tool. We let it control us instead of us control it. Rule 2. Timing matters. And what I mean by this is timing during the day. Caffeine obviously blocks the adenosine receptors that help us feel sleepy and fall asleep. So if you take it within 12 hours before bed, you guys are going to have at least a little bit of an effect of adenosine blocking. When you get addicted to caffeine, you guys might be like, oh, I can take 300 milligrams of caffeine at 7 p.m. after my workout and fall asleep by 11. Yeah, for sure, you can because your body's so addicted to it. But the adenosine receptors are still being affected, and you're not getting even if you're falling asleep, you're not getting as deep and as good of a quality sleep that you would without it. So really, you guys are leaving gains on the table by taking caffeine as a pre-workout. Sure, you have a little more energy, but I mean, even without the caffeine, you can still push yourself. And we're gonna get into a second here what I recommend for you guys who work out in the evenings after work or something like that when you're kind of tired. When we take caffeine at night like that, sure, we have a little bit of extra energy during our workout. Maybe we just feel normal if you're addicted to it, because if you don't take it, you're just below baseline. Is that by nighttime comes, even if we're falling asleep, our bodies are not getting as much rest as we should. Our sleep quality is going to be worse during that sleep because the caffeine is blocking us from getting fully as deep of a sleep as we could have. And when do we actually grow? When does our fat actually burn? When are we actually growing our muscle? Is during sleep. So you're literally affecting that process by taking caffeine so far at night. What I recommend is if you guys do take it, like myself, is not take it 12 hours before bed. Sure, 11, 10 hours before bed, sure. Again, it's going to be kind of lower, but around 12, it's going to be almost fully out of your system, and it should not be affecting your sleep quality. Again, it's not about falling asleep. Some of you guys can take caffeine. My wife, she struggles with caffeine a little bit. She can take an energy drink at night and fall asleep like 30 minutes later, like a 200 milligram energy drink. So, but her sleep quality is going to be way worse when she does that. And her gains and her fat loss, whatever she's trying to do, not going to be as restful in the morning. And then what happens in the morning? Oh, I don't feel like shit. What do you need? More caffeine, more debt. Compounds, it gets even worse and worse and worse. And you have the adrenaline effects. So you're not as calm, peaceful. You're not as happy when you're just be able to be at normal baseline, be calm, right? Chill, still productive like you would when your baseline is not lowered. So don't take it 12 hours before bed. For example, say you go to bed at midnight and wake up at 8 every day. Do not take it after noon. What I recommend is that you guys wake up in the morning, use your morning routine, like you have a little bit of energy right when you get up, and then if your energy starts dipping later in the day, like 10, 11, or you have something at that point, that's where I recommend structuring your deep block work, because the earlier you take caffeine, the earlier you're going to crash too, right? Around like 6 hours, you're going to kind of start crashing. If you take it at 8, by 2 p.m. you're going to crash. Whereas if you wait till like 11, closer to noon, then you won't crash to like 6, maybe 7, kind of start winding down for the evening, rather than crashing in the middle of your workday. So that's kind of what I recommend in terms of timing. Rule 3, most important here, I would say overall. Use caffeine for performance moments. Use caffeine for moments that require us, that is worth going into debt for. Like my nice MacBook Pro laptop. It was worth going into debt for that, because going into the debt for the benefit that it's going to give me in the moment is more important than me just waiting to save up a bunch of money and get it, a year down the line, and not have it for a year when I could use it for in that moment where I needed it. So same thing for caffeine. Good examples: a job interview, a big sales call. You had a horrible night of sleep, you didn't get much sleep, and you have a super big work day or project or school project that you're working on, and you need to have a work block done. A content creation block or a project block, right? That you really, say you have once a week, say it's Saturday. It's like, I have time off work, I have one day where I can work on my side business. Boom, take some caffeine. As long as you're not addicted to it and your baseline's lower, it'll boost you above your baseline. You can do better during that moment. Now, you are going to experience a crash, So make sure that you're ready for that and you get everything you need done before the crash. But if used properly, you can use that boost that it gives you, use that debt from later. All right, say it's Saturday night, that night you're not really doing much, you're just chilling. You don't gotta have energy for that. Boom, let's use that energy for later that Saturday night. Use it now in this nice 5-6 hour work block that I could use to get a shit ton done with boosted dopamine, less sleepiness, a little more adrenaline driving me into my tasks, and you can get more work done. Overall, it's a life enhancer if used this way. Guys, do not use it daily. Do not have it automatically in your schedule. Don't even have it, okay, I'm gonna do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. No. Wake up. Would it be beneficial for me to use it? For me to go into energy debt right now? Okay? I have a job interview. Yeah, this is really important for me. I need to crush this. I'm going to go into energy debt and have better energy, better confidence, better dopamine during this job interview. I have a huge important sales call. Yep, I'm going to use it now for this sales call. For me, I have an orientation call. 2-hour orientation call with a guy who just signed up for the method to join the tribe. Super important call, the first call. Obviously, all calls are important, but that's why the most important, getting him started. Literally, it took us 2.5 hours. There's so much to go over in the method. All right, to condense it into a routine for him. So I had 4 hours of sleep. Boom, perfect. That's a perfect example of a way that we can, opportunity or moment to use caffeine for our benefit. Now, maybe a lot of guys are probably thinking, especially you guys are in self-improvement, you go to the gym. My pre-workout. I work out in the evening after work. I don't feel good. I need my pre-workout. Yep, well, you probably had, if you're taking pre-workout all the time, you probably had caffeine earlier in the day. Now you're crashing, so you need more caffeine to feel normal. I guess I'm going to get into the protocol of how to get off it, but in terms of rules for night workouts, here are some things you guys can use to boost your energy without a pre-workout. Obviously, it's not going to be as effective, especially in the beginning, because none of these things are going to be as dopaminergic, or none of these things are a drug like caffeine. So, number one's going to be cold exposure. You're going from work, you're feeling tired, get in the shower, take a freezing cold shower. Just get under the head, don't fill it out beforehand. Get under the shower, turn it all the way to cold. Or if you have like one of those little nozzles, like starts cold and it goes hot, that's what I do. Just do a little bit as cold as you can. Boom. Take a 2 or 3 minute freezing cold shower. Yes, it's kind of uncomfortable, but it's gonna wake you the hell up. You're gonna feel like you just boom, like did a shot of espresso or something. Like you're going to feel awake. You're gonna feel a lot more energized, charged up, and you just did something masculine, going through discomfort on purpose to help you with your goals. It makes you feel better, makes you feel more masculine, makes you feel more confident that you're going into discomfort on purpose. Number 2 thing you can use at night instead of pre-workout for your workouts is going to be fast acting carbs. It's going to be simple carbs, natural sugars. Main things here are going to be fruit and maple syrup. Fuck honey. We're vegan over here. Maple syrup, fruit, fast-acting carbs. Right before you go into workout, I'll take a fucking shot of maple syrup. Boom, gives me a little bit of charge of energy, gets some glycogen going, and then I go into my workout with that extra charge of energy. Take a cold shower. Boom. Slam the maple syrup. Boom. Feeling better. Lastly, speaking of dopamine, music hack. This is one of my number 1 tips for dopamine and going to the gym and actually getting enjoyment out of the gym, especially if you don't and getting like the gym, you're starting out, when you first start out in the gym, it sucks going. Eventually, you love going. For you guys have been going to the gyms for a while. But even for you guys, if you're coming off caffeine, what I recommend is do not listen to music at all during the day. At all. Music is basically a drug. It's a dopamine source, guys. It's not as crazy as like caffeine, but it is still a dopamine source. And if we can consolidate our music use to just in the gym, it's going to give you so much dopamine knowing that, okay, if I go to the gym, I get to have my music, my dopamine source. There's another dopamine source at the gym waiting for me, and I can only get it at the gym. So if we train our brains to start associating the gym as the only place where we can use music, we're going to be a lot more motivated and energized to go. That's what dopamine is. Motivation to go do something, to get the reward. Motivated to go to the gym and get that dopamine reward of the music. So instead of the pre-workout, guys, if you feel tired after work, come home, get in the cold shower. Wake you the fuck up. Fast-acting carbs gives you that nice spike of natural energy, fruit or maple syrup. And then the music hack, don't listen to music anywhere besides the gym. It makes the gym way more fun, guys. If you're listening to music all day, you go to the gym, it's like, oh, whatever. All right, say you don't listen to music all day, and you have these songs that you really love right now that you're currently listening to, or some guy just dropped a new album, be like, I can't listen to this album, it's new EDM, rap album, whatever you're listening to, besides in the gym, you're going to be like, I can't wait to go to the fucking gym later and listen to that music. It's going to give you that motivation, that energy, that dopamine that you need to get there without taking the pre-workout at night that's going to fuck your sleep, fuck your gains, fuck your fat loss, fuck your baseline, fuck you for the next morning. Awful. Pre-workout at night is awful. Do not do it. Do not take caffeine pre-workout at night. You can still take non-stim pre-workout for a pump, beta-alanine a little bit in there. If you like that, I hate that shit. But, citrulline, stuff like that for the pumps are fine. Like, they're actually, go ahead, take those. But do not use it daily, 2 to 4 times a week max. Less the better if you can. Save it for performance moments, like I described. Do not take it 12 hours before bed. If you are coming off and you're craving your pre-workout at night for your gym, cold exposure, fast-acting carbs, and the music hack will help you immensely. So now you guys are wondering, I am using caffeine improperly. I am addicted to caffeine. How do I get to the point that you're talking about, Mike, where I'm using it as a tool? I'm in control of the caffeine. It's no longer controlling me. I'm not using it as a crush. 4 steps. Number 1 is going to be we gotta first figure out how much do we use. Okay, I've had a lot of clients where in the beginning we're calculating how much caffeine they use. Like, holy shit, I use 1,000 milligrams of caffeine daily, and I feel like I have no energy because you're in so much debt. Your baseline is so low. You need the caffeine just to even get from bottom baseline to slightly higher but still low baseline. We're not even touching our normal energy levels here that are possible if we weren't addicted to caffeine, let alone the boost that caffeine could give us over our natural levels if we're using it and we're following the rules that I gave in the previous board. Once we track how much we're using, we have to reduce our dose and power through crashes. We have to reduce our dose and power through crashes. First thing that we're going to do to reduce our dose is that we're not going to have any caffeine 12 hours before we go to bed. Okay, that's number 1. You guys are having 1,000 milligrams caffeine a day and you're taking it all throughout the day. First thing you need to do, step 1 is no more caffeine before midnight, because we need to fix our sleep. If our sleep is getting fucked, we're never going to get out of it, because you're going to wake up feeling like shit because you didn't get good sleep. Sleep is essential for everything in regards to life, everything in regards to energy as a man. We cannot continue to fuck up our sleep. We need to fix it ASAP. I'd rather you feel like crap all throughout the day and not have any adenosine blocking going on when you're trying to sleep than I'd rather you take 500 milligrams of caffeine at noon, and say we're waking up at 8, going to bed at midnight. I'd rather you take 500 milligrams at noon than have like 100 milligrams 3 times a day, with your last dose being at like 8 p.m. Okay, so we're gonna reduce our dose first by not having any more caffeine before noon, or 12 hours before we go to sleep. And for that dose, guys, it's gonna be 1 time a day. So 1 time a day, you can have one thing. If you guys are super addicted, sure, have your energy drink. Have your energy drink around 12, 13 hours before you go to bed. It could be a bang, I don't care, 300 fucking milligrams caffeine. If you want, go ahead. And we gotta power through the crashes, guys. So if you guys take it around 11, you work till 5, 6, and you're gonna go to the gym afterwards, you gotta power through the crash. How do you power through the crash? I already told you in the previous board. Cold shower, fast acting carbs, music hack. It's gonna be hard at the beginning, guys. It's going to be hard. Okay? Let's move on to number 4, because we're talking about it now. It's gonna be hard. Expect it to be hard. Expect withdrawals. It's not an automatic sunshine and rainbows process going from an extreme. You have a drug addiction. I've had this drug addiction. When we're addicted to caffeine, it's a drug addiction. Coming out of a drug addiction sound like a fun time? No, it's not fun. This is how we do it though. As time goes on, what you're going to do is every few days you're going to slowly lower the dose. Go from having a bang 300 milligrams to a Celsius, 200 milligrams. Okay, go from that to a Monster, which is like 160. Go from that to maybe a Red Bull or coffee, all right, like 80, 100, something like that. All right, then just go through like go to a smaller energy drink, maybe 60 milligrams, like Bubblers. I like Bubblers. Those are like just like 60 milligrams, something like that. All right, like 1 cup of coffee, or just go to coffee, 1 cup. Once we can get down to a low enough dose daily, we're going to start to skip days. Skipping days. Okay? Say it's a Sunday. You don't have anything to do. It's a chill day. You're just getting up, I don't know, whatever you're going to do. Watch football all day. I don't care. Any day where you have a day off or rest day, where we don't need to be productive, and we can be kind of in a lowered state, just chilling, laying around. We're going to skip that day. Okay? Skip a day. No caffeine. As time goes on, we're going to increase the number of skips. Skip 2 days. Skip 3 days. Okay? Just keep pushing beyond your edge of withdrawals to where you can still do it. There's a certain level, you could do cold turkey, guys. It's gonna be rough though. I don't know, if it depends on how addicted you are, you might not be able to go to work for a lot of days. If you're that addicted, you're gonna have awful headaches, you know what I mean? If you want to still be able to do your routine and still accomplish the things you need to do daily, this is the way we do it. First, figure out how much you're using, reduce the dose, no caffeine after 12 hours before bed, power through the crashes, using the methods I gave you guys in the previous board. Start to skip a day here and there, days where we don't have shit going on, and then start to increase the number of skips until we get to the point where we can just choose. We're not going to be getting withdrawals. I just skipped 4 or 5 days. Starting to feel good. It takes about a week to 2 weeks to get to full baseline after caffeine use, guys, with no caffeine. Like I said again, I think 2 or 3 days a week, 4 days a week, max 4 days a week. I'd say more 2 to 3. We can use it and not go too far below baseline. I don't really notice it. I don't really feel cravings when I use it that much. And we can use it during performance moments, like I talked about earlier, when we need to boost us, help us better go towards our goals. And it's going to make life a lot better. How is it specifically going to make life better? Once we gain control over the caffeine, number one, stable energy. This feels good. Imagine the energy that you guys get when you're addicted and you have your caffeine, to get to the point where you have that level, like right when you take the caffeine, but it's just stable throughout the day. And then you can take caffeine if you really need to and go boosted. Stable energy. Better sleep quality. What does that mean? You wake up more rested. Wake up needing caffeine less. Wake up more motivated. Wake up more energy, more alert. Your gains are better because your sleep is when you build your muscle. Your fat loss is better. Your gym sessions are better. More natural motivation. You don't need caffeine to get shit done. You feel naturally like you're taking caffeine all the time. Except there's no crashes, and it's stable, and it's consistent forever. You take caffeine, go up, come back down a little bit of debt. Right? Key is not to let keep going into debt. Pay off that debt the next day. Okay, now we're back to baseline. Got a job interview. Up, go up, come down. Okay, let me chill out tonight. Let me use my my protocol. Use a CAC, cold shower, fast carbs, get to the gym. Boom, back to baseline. Lastly, like I just described, stronger response when you use caffeine, so that when you have an important moment, you can actually use caffeine as a way to boost you super powered above your baseline. When you have that job interview, you don't need the caffeine to barely scrape feeling normal. You can use that caffeine to become an enhanced, more dopaminergic, more motivated, higher energy, better version of yourself for that moment. You can land that job. You can get that sale. You can complete that project. You can accomplish those goals over time. Guys, this is it. Use caffeine as a tool, not as a crutch. If you have any comments, put them down in the comment section below. If you guys are on this SR streak with us, I'm on day 21. Going to 90. Hashtag road to 90. Longest I've ever done was 80. That was before my last MMA fight. We're going to 90 this time, guys. Like you can tell, we're locked the fuck in. Shave the head. Join us on this journey. If you guys want to join the Evolve Method Tribe, link in the description below. Book a free consult with me. We'll see if you're a good fit. Other than that, as always, thank you guys for watching and subscribe for truth. Peace.